Hello everyone, Dr. Hassaan Tohid here with an amazing session on research writing, and this is one of one of those sessions that you guys will find really interesting and really attractive because this is about writing. This is not about the basic rules of research, basic designs of research. It's about how you can actually write papers. What vocabulary will you use? What language will you use? So that's what we are talking about here. So now I'm making sure everyone is with me, and you can take notes. And everyone who is watching me for the first time, you subscribe to this channel as well, and click on the bell icon so you get the notifications. And you will learn a lot from this channel. I'm trying to make sure that I bring new information every time, although there's no question about it that it is very difficult to bring new things all the time, but I do my best to not repeat the topics. If you see, my topics usually are I mean, I would say, of course, there is something that will be repeated, and we should repeat a lot of things, but I try to bring at least some new points in every lecture. I try my best to do that. And for that, I have to increase my own knowledge as well. I keep learning, I keep reading, because if I don't read, if I don't learn, I cannot increase my own knowledge. I cannot provide something new to you. And this is the beauty of knowledge, that the more you read, the more you improve your knowledge. And nobody is perfect. We can never have everything. We can never know everything. Okay, and remember, I'll give you one advice. I learned this 14 years ago, exactly 14 years ago. And that is a life-changing lesson for me, and I'm sharing that with you. That two kinds of people are never successful. Two kinds of people are never successful. Number one, those who don't do what they are told to do. Number one are those who don't do what they are told to do. And second are those who only do what they are told to do. So what do we mean by the second ones? What do we mean by the second ones? Those who only do what they are told to do. And these are the most dangerous ones. First of all, those who don't do what they're told to do, okay. But the ones who only do what they're told to do, they just remain at one point and they never grow. They never grow. Because we all are human beings. And as teachers, as institute, we can provide you so much of information, but we can never provide you everything, because nobody can provide you everything. There is no everything. There is, listen to me, this is very important. There is no everything. There is no concept of everything. Nobody can teach you everything about a particular subject, because the knowledge keeps increasing and there is no limit. There is no limit how much you can grow, how much you can learn. Every time I read a new book, I find something new. I keep reading books, I keep taking courses. Every time I take courses, I read books, I find something new. Yes, there are repetitions. There are repetitions in every book, but there are new points. And we are actually, when we are reading books again and again, we're taking lectures again and again, what we are trying to find is that one new thing that that book can give us. Because remember, everyone knows something that you don't know. This is another life-changing lesson that I learned, that every single person you meet knows something that you don't know. This is something we need to understand. This is something we need to understand. Every single person knows something that we don't know. Let me give you an example. Is there anything that you know that I don't know? Because I'm your mentor, so you feel that, okay, he is the all-knowing power and he is the best, he knows everything. No, guys, it's not true. I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. And we try to just increase our knowledge, and even after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, we will not have all the knowledge in the world, because the knowledge is never ending. It's like an ocean. And if you just take a bucket out of an ocean and you put it in a pool, you just have taken one bucket and it doesn't affect the ocean. Will the ocean be finished? No. The same thing is in the knowledge in the world. The knowledge does not finish in this world. We just keep getting buckets and fill it in our pool, and our pool is this. But the knowledge is never ending. And let me give you an example. Something that you know that I don't know. The names of your teachers, of your university. How many rooms were there in your university, in your campus? What was the name of the street where you had your campus? What was the name of the city where you had your campus, and the road, and what kind of transport system was there? I don't know these things. You don't know what happens here. So we all don't know. Now let's talk about the educational field. This was a rare example. Now let's talk about the educational field. If you ask me questions about cardiology, I cannot answer. I'm a very bad person when it comes to cardiology. I don't know. I don't know. We can just increase our knowledge, but we all don't know. What I know about neuroscience and psychology, success psychology, you may not know, but many of you will know, but you may not know a lot of things. Same thing with your field. If you're a nephrology person, you ask me about glomerulonephritis, I can't recall anything about it. I just know nephritic syndrome, but I don't know anything after that. If you ask me what were those things, I don't remember. So remember, we all are here to learn, and we all increase our knowledge every day. And your responsibility and my responsibility is to be a lifelong learner. If we cannot be lifelong learners, we cannot grow, we cannot move forward, we cannot succeed. Becoming a lifelong learner is the most important thing. Now, how do you become a lifelong learner? Just keep the attitude of learning. Just keep the attitude of learning. That's it. And remember that two kinds of people are never successful: those who don't do what they are told to do, and those who only do what they are told to do. So don't be among any of those. Whatever you learn here, make sure you learn more and you go extra mile. You always go extra mile. So that's the main key. And to bring you to this training, the purpose is to make you such a person that you not only just learn everything that you can learn over here in this training program, but you also absorb more knowledge from other sources, and you open your mind to learning. There is no harm in reading other people's books. Read as many books as possible and take as many courses as possible. I'm not the one who would say that, oh, don't take any other course on research. You will never see me saying this. I will say that get other courses as well. There are other courses on research writing, research methodology, on Coursera, on Udemy. There are different websites. You will find wonderful courses, and you may find at least one new thing in every course. You will not find everything new, that's for sure, but you will probably find just one new thing in every course or every book you read. And this happens with me all the time. Even today, after reading and studying research and going into the deep concept of research, I have spent so much time in my life on research, and yet I believe whenever I read something, I read somebody else's book, I take somebody else's course. Yes, I do take other people's courses. That's why I keep increasing my knowledge, and I don't forget things, because I keep revising it by taking more and more courses and more classes and more books, by reading more and more books and seminars, webinars. So it gives me a revision of so many concepts, so they become really, really embedded in my mind. But every time I learn one or two new things in every course or every book. So this will happen to you. What we try our best here is to give you maximum information as much as possible as we can, but we cannot claim that you will not find anything new anywhere. So remember that, because knowledge is like an ocean. We try to make this better and better. We try to bring as much information as possible, and we're doing our best. And I can say that if you complete this training, you watch all the course videos, you attend all the classes, you will be a very, very strong person. You will be kind of an expert in that field, but you will still need to learn and keep learning more and more in the future, keep reading more and more books. One of the reasons is also that every year the knowledge increases in the world, in the scientific world, everywhere the knowledge increases. So that's why we have to upgrade our course as well. We have to bring new material, new course, new curriculum. So this happens all the time with everyone. Okay, and first of all, congratulations on enrolling. All the new admissions who have enrolled into the Be a Published Author program or meta-analysis course, congratulations. Yes, we have a meta-analysis course as well, and that's a 3-month course. And anyone who has publications before, you can enroll into that course. But here we are to learn something today, and that is applicable to all kinds of research articles. What you will learn today is applicable to all kinds of research articles. Not just systematic review, not just meta-analysis, not just traditional review, not just a scoping review, not just a clinical trial, not just an observational study, not just a case report or case study. It is applicable to everything. And now let's talk about this, even the letter to the editor or editorial. So let's talk about this. So I would like everyone, hi Hassaan, how are you? Thank you Hassaan for coming. Thank you Hira, Anju, Rose, and Hyam. Thanks a lot. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot for coming. And we are going to have an outstanding session, and I think everyone is ready. Everyone, please bring a piece of paper and pen, because we are going to have an amazing session. You should not miss any single point that we are talking about here. Today is a session more than an understanding. Today is a session of a little bit memorizing. Yes, most of the time you will see our research sessions are on understanding. And even until the last week, we were doing sessions. And by the way, all the new admissions, I will share the videos of last couple of weeks with you. Those are very important. Watch it, and you will be very, very confident before your training. So now the main thing is that this session is about writing, the rules of writing, and we are talking about it. Okay, so let's begin. And the first thing first, let's talk about this. Many people say, how do I write? I have never written any paper before. How do I write? I have never written anything before. So how do you do that? Hi Kosha, thank you. Gokul, thank you. Al Harbi, thank you. And let me bring the pen. Okay, I hope you guys can see me and hear me properly. Everyone can hear me. And by the way, all the new admissions, everyone who has enrolled, make sure you create an account on the website. This is very important. You create an account on the website so that we can give you the access of the course material. We have some course material that we will give you to your account. Make sure you have that. And we have some bonus courses for you. We have some surprise gifts for you. We want you to have them. So make sure you create an account. And in this training program, how do you study? You attend my live sessions every week, and you attend your mentors live sessions every weekend, and you attend your student discussion sessions if you are planning to co-author with your classmates. So those are the things you should have. Okay, and while taking my lecture or your mentor's session on Zoom, your mentor's classes will be on Zoom. So this is very important. And you guys can type here, so do type so I can answer. So your mentor's classes will be on Zoom. My classes are on YouTube. Actually, I also did sessions on Zoom, and I can do it, but I'm let me tell you a plan. I'm conducting a live session on Friday, if Friday allows, because this is an Eid week, right? So I don't know if our students who are celebrating Eid will be available. So if not, then we will postpone it from this Friday to Monday. Okay, so now the situation is, guys, that I do come on Zoom, I do my sessions on Zoom, but YouTube is feasible, is easier, everyone can access it, and you don't need to wait for the recordings because YouTube link is always recorded, you have that all the time. Okay, so you can watch it again and again, and you can watch it fast forward later as well. So that's the beauty of this YouTube. So now, additive transitional words. So what are those transitional words? Let me give you an example. You cannot write this something like this. There was a boy who lived in a remote town. He was aware of urban city culture. His parents had previously lived in a metropolitan city. So let's say this is the line. Now, if we write like this, and almost everyone does, you can write and explain what you're trying to say. It will make sense for a beginner, but for a scientific journal, for research world, for the scientist, it does not make sense because there is no transitional word. There is no transitional word in there. So what is a transitional word? There was a boy who lived in a remote town. However, he was aware of urban city culture. And you can bring because his parents have previously lived in a metropolitan city. I'm just saying hypothetically, I'm giving you an example. That now it makes sense. Now the sentence looks nicer. Now it looks professional. Now it looks professional. So these are the transitional word, not the additive transitional word. We'll talk about additive. Just remove this heading so that you are not confused. So additive words are like this. Another example. More than 1% of population in the US. By the way, always write like this. United States and then US in the bracket when you use it for the first time. So more than 1% of population in the United States, US, is affected by Alzheimer's disease, AD. There is no treatment available for Alzheimer's disease. Now I'll say AD. Yet. However, now this is a transitional word. This is a transitional word. However, we can improve the quality of life of such patients. Moreover, now this is another transitional word. Moreover, we can help the family members coping or help the family members cope with the situation. Now, two transitional words. Without transitional word, you can imagine how difficult it would be to look or to present your paper like a professional. You will never ever be able to do that. That's why we need transitional words. So these are the transitional words. So now, for example, you don't use in your research article, you don't use in the end. You don't use and usually. And especially at the start of the sentence, you don't use and. You have to make it something different. For example, moreover. Then you can repeat moreover again. But the third time you change it with furthermore. Third time you change it for furthermore. So these are the vocabulary words. If you learn these vocabulary words and you make a list of these vocabulary words, you will know what words to use in your paper. And then when you look at other people's papers, it will make sense to you. You will understand how research writing is done. So you don't start with and, you start with moreover or furthermore the third time, but you can also add in addition to. Additionally. And you will always have a comma after this. Except this, in addition to this, XYZ. But you will have a comma most of the time. That's called transitional word. It will make your work prettier, make it look more professional, more advanced, and the chances of your publication will increase because the journals will be happy, you will be happy, the readers will be happy, everybody will be happy. So this is what transitional word is. Now there's a question, what kind of books do you recommend? I will send you some links of the books that you should read. And there are some free books available as well. I'll send you those names. You can easily find them on ResearchGate or Google, freely available. So keep reading. The more you read, the more brain cells you develop, the more connections you develop, the more brain you open. Remember, a reader has a different personality than a non-reader. No matter how much you do, how much you compare, No matter how much you deny the fact that, oh, okay, I don't need to read books. A person who reads books, you can see that in his personality. It's reflected in his personality. If you have friends who don't read books and you read books, sooner or later you will be apart. You will be way more successful, and this person will no more be your friend, because your mind will not match. No matter what you do, your mind will not match. Reading changes your personality. Reading changes your thought process. Reading changes your whole personality. It doesn't matter what books you're reading. If you keep reading just research related books, it will open more doors of your mind. It will open more ideas. It will give you more ideas, more thought process. It will improve your vocabulary. It will give you more ideas how to write. It will also increase your vocabulary for research. It will also make you think. The books actually make you think. Books actually make you think. Books actually make you think. So I will send you the list of the books and use them. Keep reading the books, and we have given you lecture notes, ebooks, exercise book. Read them, complete them till the end, watch all the lectures. And education is not always done through books, it is done through courses and classes as well. If you are an audio person, then listen to the audio books or listen to the audio lectures or courses. I'm more of an audio person. I prefer to listen to a lecture rather than reading. So you could be somebody like me. Now, don't start your sentence with a so. Lately, I saw somebody's paper, one of our students, who started the sentence with so. So what happened? So what happened? No. You replace it with what? Therefore, thus, hence. Replace the word so with therefore, thus, thus, and hence, hence, hence. Make sense, everyone? Clear? No confusion. Some other words. That are commonly used in your paper and you should use. Nevertheless. Are you taking notes? Everyone, please take notes, because this is your vocabulary you will be using in your paper. Nevertheless. Nonetheless. Always followed by a comma. Consequently. What else? In order to understand, we will look at some of the papers, something like that. Here you don't need a comma. So in order to, in addition to, you don't need a comma here. But consequently, thus, therefore, hence, nevertheless, nonetheless, whereas, while. These are also transitional words. And instead of for example, for instance, looks better. For instance. Make sense? Everyone is clear about it? Now we will talk about how to use them, when to use them. This is very important now. how to use them, when to use them, which ones to use when, and are there other words? Absolutely. Now we are talking about the number one. Everyone talks about the number one, additive. Additive words. Take notes, guys, take notes. This is very important. You cannot afford to miss this lecture. This is a life-changing lecture. I wish when I started my research career, somebody taught me this. I had such a huge difficulty convincing my supervisor, one of my supervisors, and he kept on saying that you are making the same mistakes again and again. You're not using transitional words, and I was like, what is he talking about? What does he mean by transitional words? So I don't want you guys to suffer the way I did in my early career. Learn from my mistakes, please. Learn from my mistakes. So for additive words are such as when you are giving a list, for example, for instance, like. Yes, the word like can be used. The word like can be used. The word including can be used. Including. The word particularly. Particularly can be used. If you use these words in your paper, you have done half of the job of a professional editor. When you send your paper to an editor, the editor will find it really interesting, and it will be very easy for the editor to edit and make it really, really impressive. Now, what else? As an what? As an example. As an illustration. When you are showing a diagram, you're trying to explain something, use something like this. As an example, we will discuss one of the papers written by XYZ as an illustration. What else? To illustrate. To illustrate. Notably. Now this is my favorite. Notably. Notably. Guys, resolve means promise, right? Resolve, that's what this resolve I'm talking about. Resolve to use these kind of words in your paper. Make a promise to yourself that you will use these kind of terminologies, these kind of words, this kind of vocabulary in your paper. If you promise to yourself and say out loud every day, I'm very good at research writing. I am an expert in research writing. I am an amazing writer. I am awesome when it comes to transitional word usage. I use transitional words really awesome. I would say incredibly. I use transitional words really incredibly. I use transitional words really well. Say this, say this, say this. I'm excellent in using transitional words. I'm excellent in using vocabulary for my research article. Notably is my favorite, okay? Anything else? Anything else you can think of? Give me ideas too. I may forget. My notes may not have everything. Spatially is also very good. I like it. So this is called additive words. Anything else? Let's add anything else. Similarly, alternatively, yes, you're right. But similarly doesn't necessarily be an additive word that can replace these words. Now let's talk about, if there is one word that I have used in my papers and my book chapters, my blogs, more than any other word. It's this. Moreover, I was looking at my paper and I said, well, I use it a lot. I need to change my style. I use it a lot. So moreover, don't use moreover like I have so many times. Mix it, mix it, mix it. So now when I write my new papers, new books and blogs, I try to distribute it. I don't overemphasize on moreover. So learn from my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. I am a living example of so many mistakes and failures. So learn from my mistakes and learn from my failures, and you will be as successful as I am today. Because I kept learning from my failures and my mistakes. We all are failures, remember. We all are professional failures. We have failed over and over and over and over and over again, and here we are with our successes. So you can never be successful without failures and without mistakes. So stop being afraid of, what if I fail USMLE? Stop being afraid of this. Failure is a part of life. Failure is a feedback. It's just a feedback by nature. Stop being scared of failures. Learn from it, improve it, move forward. What if I fail and I don't match I don't match and I don't get residency? People who fail, they still match. They just have the mindset that I can match. That's it. Don't listen to people who don't match, who failed and they did not match. They will tell you why, all the reasons why you cannot match. Talk to people who failed but matched. They will tell you all the reasons of why you can match. Talking to the wrong people. And this affects your research writing. This affects your quality of paper because your mind is always there because of that unknown fear of failure. Remember, all of this was my failure. I was using this word a lot, and I was using not using transitional words in the beginning, and I learned and learned and learned. Every attempt was a failure, and I learned and learned and became better and better, 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 better. So if you see the chart of my life success, this is 2021, and if we started, let's say 2005, okay, I'll give myself 16 years. So my failures, these are my failures. Down lines are my failures. One success, success, failure, 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 failure. One success, failure, failure. Success, failure, 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 failure. Success, failure, failure, failure. Success, failure, 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 failure. And that thing is still going on. And today the world sees me like this. Wow, what a successful man. So many successes in his life. They don't know, to get these many successes, I had to fail thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So be willing to fail, be willing to make mistakes. Yes, you are learning, you are a learner. So your first paper will not be perfect. Don't worry about it. Don't be ashamed of making mistakes. So learn from my mistakes and you will save your so many years of life. Don't use this word too often. Mix them together. Furthermore, moreover, indeed, in fact, both, this and that, both A and B, C and D, both. You may use it sometimes. Additionally, in addition to, and somebody wrote it, I like it, likewise. Likewise, here you're giving an example. You are open, you are allowed to mention any other words you can think of. Maybe I have missed some points in my notes, okay? So I am a human being. And I always tell everyone, I'm a human being, so feel free to remind me if I forget something. You all know these things, but you never used it before, but you actually know these things. These are hiding somewhere in your mind. Now we are bringing everything in front from the back of your mind. So if I have forgotten something, ignore it, add it, let me know, type it. Now the next one is how do you give a reference to a point? Considering these results, conversely comes when you give a converse, like the opposite. We'll talk about this, but that's very good. Thank you for bringing this. Considering these results, or considering these findings, we came to a conclusion, or we believe that this can happen. See how beautiful the word will become? Another thing, another way. Regarding the previous results, the authors mentioned XYZ. Regarding in regards to the treatment, escitalopram is one of the most used drugs for depression patients or anxiety patients, XYZ. Make sense? Regarding or in regards to. Can you read this writing? This is very ugly writing today. So let me make it clear so that you can really read and you don't start throwing eggs and tomatoes on the screen. In regards to. In regards to. So Ishwarya brought this idea. Very good. That's very good. In either case. Yes. Now you're comparing two things together and you are now making a point. In either case, we believe that escitalopram should be used for the treatment. In regards to. Regardless can be used, but it will not be used. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, regardless. But regardless, when will you use regardless? Regardless of the struggles in finding the treatment, the scientists have come to a conclusion that XYZ can be treated. Regardless. So yes, you can connect your sentences with regardless as well. On the subject of escitalopram, XYZ, on the subject of, very rarely used, but this is also used. On the subject of The fact that escitalopram treats anxiety makes us think XYZ. The fact that this is the fact that this is very good. Yes, nonetheless, we mentioned nonetheless, but this is very good. That's very good. Yes, nonetheless is also used. So are you guys taking notes of these points? Because this is your vocabulary. This is your power vocabulary that you will use for your papers. Forget about grammatical errors. Once you fix these vocabulary terms, you fix these transitional words, your paper will be in a very good position. Then checking grammar is so easy in the end. We will fix that problem. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about this. Don't worry about grammar. I want you to make mistakes. Write it in wrong grammar, but finish your paper. That's more important, because grammar can be checked by Grammarly software. Turn it in software. So many softwares in the world that can correct your grammar. So forget about grammatical mistakes. Now, some words are used for clarification. 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 Yes, that's very good. On the other hand, you brought this very good word. Everyone write it down. On the other hand. But now we're talking about clarification. How do you clarify something? How do you clarify something? Clarification. Specifically. You can use this word specifically. Specifically. What else? Yes, in comparison to, in other words. But these are used for comparison. We'll talk about that. In comparison, or yes, in other words. In other words, that's very, very powerful. Actually, this was not in my notes. Thank you, Anju. This was not in my notes. Thank you, Anju, for bringing it. Let me show you my notes. These are my notes. Okay, these are my notes. But this was not in my notes. In other words. So that's why I'm saying that you guys can teach me as well. While learning, we learn from our students more than anyone else. Okay? So yes, in other words, is very, very good, very powerful. Especially, this especially, yes, the one with E. Defining, yes, defining can also be used. But be careful about using it. You may not use it in a wrong place. And by the way, don't overuse your transitional words. And as I said, try to mix them together. Don't use one again and again. By the way, in compare to, no, we don't use that in that way. We say in comparison to, in comparison to, or comparatively. It is comparatively better. Because of this, yes, Mega, very, very true. Because of this. So now clarification, what else? More precisely. This is my favorite. If you ask me, one of my favorites. More precisely. Or more accurately. more precisely, more accurately, or simply accurately. Namely, now somebody else wrote as a consequence. That's wonderful. As a consequence. We use it like as a result, as a consequence. Another way, demonstrating, yes, now you guys are getting it. You guys are getting it. Another way, so we are clarifying here. Another way as a consequence. But here we are actually telling a consequence. So I won't put it as a clarification point, but as long as you know the word, you can use it when it is needed the most. And what about demonstrating? No, demonstrating, we don't use it like that. We say they demonstrated. Demonstrating this. Hold on. Can we use it? Actually, we can. Demonstrating the association of XYZ, the scientist Jonathan Jackson et al. Discovered this. Yes, so you can. So yes, demonstrating can be used. So I thought about it and I realized that no, Aishwarya has a very valid point. Demonstrating can be used. Yes. And Anju said in a similar way, on the same way, in the similar way is better. On the same way is nothing. In a similar way is better in academic writing. Now we are talking about the concession words. You all know these very well. Now your mind will open more. Concession words. Concession words. My favorite, everyone's favorite. When we think about concession words, what is the first word that comes to our mind? Although. Although. Nonetheless. Even so. Nevertheless. Now here comes on the other hand. Now this is very important. Despite this, now you can say that they found the treatment. Despite this, FDA has not yet approved. On the other side, you can say on the other side, yes, or the other side of the story. The other side of the story is literally like this. The other side of the story is, despite this, they discovered the treatment, but despite this, FDA has not yet approved. COVID vaccine was discovered. Despite this, FDA did not approve it until they were sure that there will be no side effects. Despite this, and another something similar to despite this, remember everyone? Despite and two things always come together. In spite. Despite this, or in spite of. Now, in spite of, don't mix it. Don't say despite of or in spite this. Don't. In spite of. So how do we use this in spite of? Anyone can make a sentence right now? In spite of focusing on the treatment of COVID-19, we relied on vaccination, which turned out to be an amazing way to save lives. I think COVID vaccine example is amazing. We can use everything with COVID. Although COVID is a lethal infection, only 1% people lose their lives because of COVID. How do we use nonetheless? Anyone can make a sentence of nonetheless? Or let's bring another one. Okay, take notes because I'm removing this now. I'm rubbing this. I'm taking this away because I'm adding more points. If you have missed it, you did not write it, rewatch today's session, and on fast forward you can watch it and take notes and take screenshot when I'm writing on the board. Admittedly, notwithstanding, this is amazing. If you use this notwithstanding, I'm telling you something, guys. If you use this kind of word, notwithstanding, nonetheless, they will not be able to easily reject your paper. They'll say, wow, this is coming from a learned person. Notwithstanding. Notwithstanding. And how do you connect it? With a this. Notwithstanding this. Another one. In the middle of the sentence. And still. And still. And still we are relying on vaccination. And yet we have not developed a feasible treatment. Though THOUGH, even though, very good, even though, Aishwarya, very good. And granted this is also very good. Even though. So we have even so and even though, both. Even so and even though. Now, regardless of, here comes regardless. Here comes regardless. Now, the similarities, the similarity words. Similarity words. What are the similarity words? Likewise, somebody mentioned that before. Likewise, similarly. I mean, this is common sense. We all use it. Equally. What else? In the same way. In the same way, or I use it like this, in the same manner. In parallel to, very good. In parallel to. As effective as, yes, that's very good. But that will not come here. By the same token, this is something really very good. I've seen so many people using it. By the same token, I don't use it, but I've seen so many people using it. But this is very good. By the same token. By the same token. So all of these guys, the addition, the additive words, the reference words we use, the similarity words we use, the clarification words we use, all of these are additive words. All of these are additive words. And there can be an intro, there can be like, as we discussed, in addition, additionally, also, furthermore, they were for addition only. But in the introduction, you can use like, such as, like, particularly. So remember, that's the difference. Such as, like, particularly, including, and as an illustration, they are usually to introduce something. Now we are talking about adversative transition words. Now many of you were talking about those words, and now we are on our way to those words. Now we are on our way to those words. Adversative. Adversative transitional words. So you can say conflict, conflicting words, define the conflict. Dismissal, and the one that we already studied, concession, emphasis and replacement. And replacement. So all of these are adversative transitional words. So let's talk about each of those. Conflict. But you will not start a sentence with but. It will be in the middle. Although. However. Now I'll increase my speed. So I don't want you guys to get tired. So I want to increase my speed. Equally and though. Equally, though. Another word can be by way of contrast. By way of contrast. While, on the other hand, yes, that comes here. Because you are making a conflicting statement now. Conflicting statement. What else? Yet, whereas, yet, and whereas. All of these are conflicting. Conversely, in contrast, we all know these words, right? In contrast, giving a conflicting statement. In contrast, conversely, in contrast, conversely. Now the concession words, replacement words, dismissal words are left, right? So dismissal words, let's come to dismissal words. Either way, see this? Either way. Invariance too. Unlike. Yes, these are good words. Regardless. Now, this is my favorite. Whatever the case might be, in either event, in any event, or in either case, in any case, I use it like this, in either case. In either case. At any rate, all the same, all the same. So now you see the conflicting words. Although, however, equally, though, in contrast, conversely, by way of contrast, while, on the other hand, yet, whereas, and but comes in the middle, but you don't start a sentence with but, try not to start it. So this is the dismissal words, and these are the dismissal words, these are the conflict words, and all of them come under the category of adversative words because they will give an adverse reaction. You can say the conflict. Okay, now the next one is concession. We already studied this. Okay, so we can repeat it. Although, nonetheless, nevertheless, remember. So you already have taken notes. You can add this here. Concession. They are best actually adversative instead of additive. On the other hand, admittedly, all of those. Now, The next one is, one more is missing. Emphasis words. Emphasis words. Now guys, this is very important. Instead of replacement, first we start with emphasis. Emphasis words. Emphasis words are indeed. Indeed, this happened. Indeed, several research articles have reported the concept XYZ. Most importantly, more importantly, more importantly, above all, above all. So emphasis words are really easy to remember, only 4. Above all, most importantly, more importantly, indeed. Clearly. Significantly. Clearly. Very, very true, guys. Very good. Very well done. Anju, very well done. Even more, yes. Besides, I will bring besides here, right? In the conflict one. Now, these are adversative words. Now, only last one is left. What is that? Replacement, right? Replacement. Okay, give me a second, guys. I don't want to lose you guys because I can see I need to connect the battery. Rather will be a conflicting word instead of. Yes, absolutely is a good word. At least is a good word. So now we are talking about replacement. Alternatively, instead of Shorya, instead of in alternate to, say alternatively. Replacement word is in the category of adverb. It's in the category of adversative. Adversative words. Remember it with adversity. Adversative. So replacement, yes, the replacement words. We're talking about replacement words. Hold on, let me get clear vision. Okay. Replacement. So what are the replacement words? Instead of. My favorite word. Instead of. At least. Now here we are with at least. Somebody mentioned at least before, right? Anju mentioned at least. Rather. And usually we say or at least. or rather, or perhaps. Now this is amazing. Or perhaps. I would love to see that in my students' articles. Or perhaps. If not, or even. These are replacement words. So we are done with the adversative words. We're done with the additive words. So additive words had addition words like, you remember that, right? That, hold on, let me make the classification clearly so that you can fix your notes correctly. Okay? You can fix your notes clearly. So we studied additive transitional words, and we studied adversative transitional words. In the additive, we studied the addition words. And what were the list of addition words? Check your notes, guys. Furthermore, moreover, indeed, besides, in fact. Yes, besides comes here. Two. Also, both, A and B, but also, both A and B. That's done, right? Then in the introduction, we can say, then they can be introduction words. We have such as, like, as an illustration, all those things we discussed before. As an illustration, for example, for instance, my favorite is for instance, in particular, notably, remember notably? Notably. Those were the additive words. First category was addition words. Second is words. Addition words were, you all know, indeed, moreover, just remember moreover here. So you have all the list of similar ones. Moreover, furthermore, here such as, like. Then the references were considering this, considering that, regarding this, in regards to, as for, concerning, on the subject of. Then similarity words. So reference was number 3, reference words, then the similarity words. So now you are clear. Additive words were 4 kinds, actually 5 kinds. We also discussed the clarification words. Clarification words were, that is, yes, that is, specifically, more precisely, in other words, namely. That is, actually, that is my favorite one. That is, that's the clarification word. So everyone is clear? 5 additive words, 5 kinds: addition, introduction, reference, similarity, clarification, and we also have, then in adversative, we have concession, the conflict, the replacement, emphasis, and dismissal. Replacement, dismissal, concession, conflict, and one more was emphasis. Now, another one is causal. Causal. Causal transition words. I'll finish really fast. I don't want you guys to get bored, okay? So I'll finish really fast. You're almost there. Causal transition. We use here therefore, because, for this reason, as a result, as a consequence, consequently. In view of, as, owing to, as a consequence, but there's also another one, in consequence, hence, thus, so that. So that is also rarely used, but it is, I mean, is not, doesn't look like that of a big deal, but it is very powerful. Accordingly, so much so that, under the circumstances, under these circumstances, due to the fact, if so, since. I think that's pretty much it. These are causal words and causal transition words, and in causal we are talking about the number one category, that is consequential, consequence transitional words. So make sure you have taken notes. Now let's move to the next one, conditional words, condition. Because we are on causal, right? We are on causal. So the second ones are condition. In condition we have on the condition that, even if, only if, these are very powerful. Even if, only if, even when, only when, providing that, or provided that this is not done, XYZ. We can achieve this provided that XYZ is not done. We can get rid of COVID vaccine, not COVID vaccine, for God's sake. We can get rid of COVID infection provided that everyone is vaccinated. Okay, now what's next? As long as, given that, Another one is unless. Now, nobody discussed unless today. Why not? Unless. Inasmuch, insofar. In as much and in so far. Inasmuch, in so far. In that case, in that case, in that case, in other cases, and what else? Otherwise, otherwise, I think that's enough. In the event that, so this was the conditional, these were the conditional words. In the causal transition words. Causal transitional words. Number 1 was consequence. Number 2 was the condition words. Number 3 is the most common one, purpose. Now write it down, purpose, quickly, fast. We are almost done. 2, for the purpose of. For the purpose of. In order to. Or in order that. So that. Again, so that. In the hope that. In the hope that. With this in mind, this is very good. I like this. With this in mind, so as to ensure that, so many words, see guys, to, for the purpose of, in order to, so that, to ensure that, with this in mind. Now, these are the 3 main categories. All are done. 1, 2, 3. Now, last one is left. Only last one is left. Sequential. We did additive. We did causal. And we are now on sequential. And we did adversative. So now sequential. Sequential, the last one. Sequential is according to numbers, enumeration. According to numbers. Secondly, firstly, those kind of words. First, second, third. Mainly we use it secondly. Second to that. Trying to see why it's becoming blurry. Okay, now it's fine. So enumeration are numbers. You can bring numbers. It's so easy. Now initiation, or initiation, whatever you want to call it. Initially, in the first place. So easy, guys, so easy. First of all, to begin with, at first, in the first place, in the beginning, to start, now 4 more categories left. Okay, so in the beginning, and lastly should be in the conclusion. When we talk about the conclusion, the last thing, and we are coming to that, don't worry about it. 3 more and you're done. You can leave today, you are done. The next one is resumption. To resume. Returning to return. Okay, resumption. Now summation. The next one is summation. Summation. Previously, or as previously. As previously mentioned, or stated before. As stated before, as stated earlier, or as stated before. Now you are summing up your conclusion. As stated before, as stated earlier. In summary, you can use it at the end of every paragraph. Every paragraph. As has been mentioned, as has been mentioned, or demonstrated, as has been demonstrated, as has been mentioned, as we have shown, as we have argued or shown. Overall, my favorite one, overall. To summarize, given these points, as has been noted, in conclusion. Try not to use it, although many people use it, but I recommend my students don't use this word, in conclusion, especially in the conclusion paragraph. Altogether, in short, in sum, SUM sum, in sum. I think that's pretty much it for the summation words. Now, conclusion words and continuation words. Only 2 left, and we are done. conclusion, and continuation. And you are done. And this was the sequential transitional words, the fourth category. So this was the fourth category. The first one was the addition transitional words. Second one was adversative. The third one was causal. The fourth one is sequential. And in sequential, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're talking about the conclusion. To conclude, as a final point, to conclude, at last, don't use at last, but not the least. Don't use that. That's cliche. At last. Finally, lastly. Finally, lastly. Finally, lastly. And eventually. Finally, lastly, eventually, as a final point, at last. And to conclude. But don't use this in the conclusion section to conclude. As I said, in regular paragraph, you can do that. Now, continuation. Eventually, again, eventually. Next, before this, that's how we say it. Before XYZ, before this, afterwards, subsequently, and another one is previously. And finally, our transitional words subject and lesson is over. That's it. In summary, in a nutshell. Oh, my favorite. In a nutshell. In a nutshell is my favorite. I use it too often, Sheila. In a nutshell. Thank you for bringing this. I forgot to mention that in my notes. In a nutshell. To conclude, it can be in the conclusion. It can be in the summation. In a summation, it will be better. In a nutshell. Okay, everyone. So these are the words. Use these words. Mix them together in your paper. When you're writing, you are copy pasting information from other papers. I understand that, but you rephrase it and use these words and see how magically high quality paper you will produce. This is how we write research papers, and see how easy it is. If you know what words to use, you will have no problem in writing a paper. So let's begin, do it, move forward, move ahead, get it done. Finish your paper and resolve to finish your paper. Promise to yourself that you will complete your paper. You will become a published author, because becoming a published author is your responsibility. If you become a published author, you are 100% responsible for it. If you don't become a published author, you are 100% responsible. So you don't blame anyone that, oh, I could not become a published author because I was sick or because I had this problem. Everyone has problems. We had a cancer patient as our student. She published her paper. Not only that, she got residency. Cancer survivor. So what is your excuse? What is your excuse? So don't blame anyone. Don't give any excuses that I could not complete my paper because of this, because of that, because of my family problems, because my family was nasty, because my family is a dysto family or dysfunctional family. I had so many problems in my life. I have so many problems in my career. No, don't give these excuses to me. You have no idea what I have gone through in my life. You have no idea. You cannot even imagine. You cannot even imagine the kind of life I had, the problems I had in my life, the difficulties I faced in my life, along with my ADHD, along with my personal problems, how I managed to be where I am today. So all of these are excuses. Everyone has problems in their life. Successful people make it regardless. Unsuccessful people make excuses. Successful people say, if it's up to me, it's up to me. I can do it, regardless of the problems. Nobody who has ever achieved anything in his life had ideal life. There is no ideal life. There are no ideal conditions. You have only 4 months left for the next match season. So complete your paper, publish it. Don't give an excuse that I cannot do it. If you take 100% responsibility of your life and your career, you will become a published author 100%. If you take 80% responsibility, you will publish your paper. The chances are you will become a published author 80%. If you take 90% responsibility of your life, the chances of your publication 90%. So everything comes down to the level of responsibility you take. So promise yourself today that you will take absolute responsibility and you will start working on your paper and you will utilize today's knowledge, the words, the vocabulary, and for rest of your life, you will start using them in your text messages. You can start using these words in your text messages when you write to each other, and you will see how good your English will become and how easy research writing will become in the future. Thank you, Anju. Thanks a lot. That's what I am. I'm always here. I'm myself motivated and I transfer the energy. Guys, you have no idea how difficult sometimes it is for me. Even today, I have severe pain. I have severe pain in my legs. Because of exercise yesterday, I have severe pain because of heavy exercise. And it was very difficult for me to stand up. But I'm doing it because I take absolute responsibility. I don't make excuses. I don't make excuses. Now it hurts really bad. Okay, so what I'm saying is take the word excuses out of your life and blaming out of your life. Don't blame anyone. Don't give excuses. Take absolute responsibility. Everything is in your hands. Everything, your future is in your hands. Your residency is in your hands. Your publication is in your hands. Your score is in your hands. Nobody has control over it. Nobody has power over you. You have it in your hands. So thank you, guys. Thanks a lot for coming. Thank you for joining me. And for this late session, we had a late session today, but I'm glad that many of you made it and a lot of people made it. Thank you. And we'll see you again either Friday or Saturday. I'll see, because tomorrow is the Eid, right? So we will see. And Eid Mubarak to all the students who are celebrating. And thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. And we will see you very soon. I'll announce for the next session very soon. Stay tuned. Thank you. Have a good day.